Okay. Hi, friends. This is George Grant with my friend Leslie Smith. And Leslie has been toning with us online and in groups for a long, long time. And then she had this obvious revelation. Hey, I'm going to use my vocal toning skills with body awareness and breath and to help me with childbirth. And she did it. And I don't know what she did, but I can't wait to hear.
Thanks for having this little chat, George. And
I can't wait to hear what you did. Now, I remember we didn't, toning can be about performing with friends and setting up creative energy for enjoyment and for movement and for laying down and for singing little blessings to each other, and mostly just for meditation, not really for performing. But then all of a sudden, you know, you get it. Okay, we're going to use all of these skills. And I remember we trained mostly in your body awareness and your breath and letting go of toning need to be musical at all. Right? It could be like, anything that helps your breath and your body get what it needs. So I can't wait to, now what happened?
Well, I guess I'll preface with leading up to birth, we got together weekly, right?
Yeah.
And we
had been meeting weekly for just your regular.
Yeah, regular.
So you were kind of already in your process, and then we kind of put the agenda on.
Right.
I'm gonna have a baby here.
So we were doing just our regular sessions, and then we started to kind of focus around, okay, how can we utilize this for labor, and focusing on our breath work and toning. So I really was looking forward to how I was going to utilize those things in labor, and if I would at all, because sometimes as you had a baby before, plans go out the window. My first labor was really, really difficult. I labored for 36 hours. I was in a lot of resistance. I was not connected to my breath. You know, I was very frightened. It was a stressful time in my life, and it just, you know, it was hard work. This time, I felt so much more prepared, and I just embraced the process. You know, each contraction that would come on, I welcomed and worked with it instead of resisting it. And I know that the reason that happened is because of the training and the preparation that I've put into this, including the work I've done with you. So I would say that my breath was the single thing that got me through it and helped to keep things accelerated and moving quickly. I mean, my water broke at midnight. She was born at 1 a.m. And my midwife showed up at 10. So it was very, very quick. But I just really depended on that breath, big, deep belly breaths. And with every contraction, it was the breath that, I mean, it's almost like it didn't even hurt. I know it hurt when it was happening, but like looking back, I don't remember any pain. And I think that the breath helped with that. After my water broke and it was like pushing time, I really started to rely on the toning. In fact, it was just me and my husband in my bed when my water broke, and, you know, my midwife and my mom and sister was out here in the living room, and I let out just one big, like, I don't even know what it sounded like, but I just let out a big sound, and everyone came rushing in. Oh my gosh, I'm like, my water broke.
So it was like a fun sound, or was it like a scream, or was it like a?
It was like a like a relief.
Okay.
Like relief, but also like almost like a call. Like, you know, when like a Viking blows through the horn, like
yeah.
You know, it was almost like that. It was like the baby's coming. and a relief too, like a sound of relief, because yeah. Oh, and Hawken was there too, huh? And it was like baby's coming, and also relief, because when my waters broke, it felt so good. In the middle of all this pain, that water rushing out was just so relieving. these sacred waters, just, I don't know. It was
Well,
such a,
yeah, like you said, instead of resisting, you're just going with everything now.
yeah. And I just felt so embodied. And breathwork does that. Toning does that. So I felt very much in my body and embracing the process. And then as, we got closer, her coming out, her head came out, and I'm pushing to get the rest of her body out. That's when I started toning again and letting out sounds. And I mean,
the baby was all the way out, or just the head?
Her head. So as her head was coming out, her head was out, I felt her head, and then I let out more sounds, and the rest of her body came out, and then she fell out. And then I let out just this huge, sound of relief, just, and then we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And when Stephen, my husband, said, honey, it's a girl, I let out these it was a laugh, but I was so high on all these endorphins and, love chemicals that it was not a normal laugh. It was very harmonic. It felt like a toning as well. And I just laughed, and it was like a laugh cry, and it was just amazing.
So when you toned, would you say that it was to help you with the breathing, or was it to help you with sensations in your body, or how did it work for what you had to do with your body?
It felt like, to me, especially as I was pushing, the tones were helping me get that extra oomph and strength that I needed, but very much working with my breath. So I would take a breath and then push, and then at the end of the push I'd let out a ah.
We've all heard that women who have babies have to breathe, and the breathing training and coaching and all this. And so when they want you to push, they holler push, push. And do they train you to hold your breath as you push? I
learned.
Hey, George.
Hey, buddy.
I learned that in my first labor, because when I first started pushing with Hawken, I was letting out screams, just any noise,
Emotional. Yeah.
Yes. And my midwife was like, well, that's not a good way to push. And I was like, well, no one ever taught me. So what am I supposed to do here? So yeah, they teach you to, bear down and just.
But it involves taking a breath first, and then.
Bear down and then push, hold that breath and push. So in that way, the toning was release of my breath after that push.
You described it well. And at the end, it helped you make it smooth rather than snap.
Yeah, exactly. It helped keep things flowing. And then I'd take another deep breath, push, and then at the end, vocalize, deep breath, push, at the end, vocalize. And she came out fast. When my midwife said, there's the head, I was like, already? Really? Because I guess I was just expecting. I can't grab it right now, honey. I guess I was just expecting that, I'd be pushing forever like with him. I was watching my birth video, and I was just so amazed at how steady I was with my breath and just the consistency of it. And I know that I wouldn't have been able to. But if we hadn't done the work to remind me and to preface all of this, I don't know that I would have breathed so well.
Even with the coach, even with the midwife, don't they help you with that?
Yeah, she didn't coach. She didn't have to coach me on anything.
But yeah, when you're in the heat of the moment like this, is not the time to learn something, right?
Yeah.
It's better to learn it before.
Yeah, and if I wasn't doing that, you're right. Maybe she would have coached me. You need to breathe. You need to breathe.
Would you say that the toning, the baby was starting to come out and you were toning a little bit? Was it expressive at all? Or was it just like one tone at a time, or how did it work?
Yeah, I would say it was even a repetitive tone.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I might have a different enunciation at the end. But it was very much just a deep, it was deep. It was coming from the belly. It was coming from deep, you know, within. It was miraculous. I feel like, especially compared to my first, I had the tools that I needed and I relied on them. I put them to work and they worked. And, you know, it happened it was just so beautiful.
Go ahead.
Say you can have an orgasmic birth. I don't know if it was orgasmic, but it was euphoric. It was a very deeply spiritual experience. And we know that the breath connects us to that spiritual realm. So
we were training as if like maybe you'll use some of these tools when you have the baby. I remember we did one exercise where we carefully find a sensation shape in your body, wherever it was, and then we shop and we find that one pitch and even the right vowel to then work with that. And maybe that helped. Maybe it was pretty intuitive for you to do that in the heat of the moment. But all of this work about, you know, we focus so much on the breath and the turning of the breath and the fullness and feeling the belly and the chest and all this stuff. And then you've been doing that for several years now. And then you just did it.
Yeah, it came very natural. I didn't have to think about it. And now that you say that, I did find the tone that worked for me. It was a very consistent tone that just felt supportive.
Were you consciously aware that this is the tone I want with this sensation, or was it instinctive?
Instinctive.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah, it was just totally intuitive, just happening.
Well, excellent. I am so happy that it was fun and euphoric and spiritual, and that your family all was able to get there from hundreds of miles away, and that it was just the cool thing. You know, what I'm thinking is in many, many cultures, they sing at birth and death. These are the two biggest things in a human's life for everybody is birth and death. And so what we'll do is we'll get together and we'll do a little welcoming song.
That would be so
for the
great.
baby to be awake or maybe drift off, but at least then we'll know it. And the baby is in its own little world anyway, but we'll have a video. We can show the baby later when she's a 12 years old or something.
They know it and feel it. And I did that with Hawken. That was really beautiful. It's kind of like it's a blessing.
Yep.
You know? So it's a little blessing.